Hey everyone, Pastor Wes here with you on a stormy Wednesday afternoon. The rain continues, but soon it will be 95 degrees and no rain. It will be wishing was raining. So we got to take the good and the bad and take whatever we get when it comes to us each day. For the last several weeks, we've been looking at Ephesians chapter 1. Last week, we kind of finished up on verse 4. We're looking at verse 5 of Ephesians chapter 1 tonight, where he says, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by Jesus Christ himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. I was thinking today, one of the greatest experiences that a person ever really enjoys in this life is to be wanted by another person. That sense of belonging that we feel, to be needed, to be desired, to be wanted is the supreme answer for loneliness, depression, low self-esteem. But as precious as being wanted by another person is, it pales in comparison to knowing that we have been chosen by God. In verse 4, we saw that word means to be called out or chosen. In verse 5, we have another word that details God's sovereign choice, and it's a compound word meaning before and encircle. God picked us out. He encircled us before we were ever born. God's choice was not a reaction to anything that we did. His reaction was not because we came to him. It was not our advance toward him. He didn't choose us because of our action. He didn't choose us because of our lifestyle or our pleading. He chose us prior to the beginning of our life. He made the decision to be good to us without any provocation on his part whatsoever, without any inducement or urging, and none of our weaknesses, none of our failures, none of our personality flaws had any effect on his decision whatsoever. In other words, we had no influence on his choice because we didn't exist yet and we had no access to him. God predestined us, or he determined beforehand that we would be his children. All who accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior would be his children. And that's what he predestined, the life for his children, those who accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. And so, in simple terms, to predestine or to before encircle is to predetermine. It means to have something in mind from the very beginning. And you've got to understand, God is not making up this plan as he goes along. I've always said God is a God of action, not a God of reaction. His plan is set. His plan is established. His plan is already in place, and he knows precisely what he needs to do at any given point of time to be able to fulfill the plan that he already created. You know, I used to think when movies were created that they were recorded in sequence, and the directors, the actors just started at the first scene and they began to record, and they would record through their movie scene by scene until the last scene was shot. But I was reading several years ago that that's not really how it's done. Many times the scene or the middle is something that is shot first. A lot of times it's the last scene of the movie that is shot first, and then they fill the scenes in and as they're filmed, and they work in the latter scenes. And so the movie can produce this way because everyone is working from a script that gives them the whole story. Just like God. God is working from a script that he has created, and it is the whole story from beginning to end. He has that full script for all time. He sees the end from the beginning. He sees every scene in between. And so the destiny of the world has already been determined by God. The outcome of history is fixed by God. And that's one of the reasons that God doesn't get caught by surprise. It's why God doesn't get hysterical about the things that cause us such anxiety. You know, when we run to God and we say, I've been hit so hard. Don't you see what's happening to me? Don't you care? Couldn't you have stopped this? The Lord responds very calmly by saying, the fight is fixed. I know who wins in the end. We should know who wins in the end. The Lord has a master plan and a strategy for every scene and circumstance of your life. And he sees how everything fits together to tell the complete story that is going to bring the most glory to him. And what an awesome thought that we can be part of this scheme that is so grand and so marvelous, to understand that hell itself cannot thwart the plan of God. And we are part of God's plan. We are chosen from before the beginning of time to be fit in that role that God has for us to play. God's plan is fixed. It will not be edited or changed any more then God will change his own nature. He cannot be forced into a detour, and you cannot force God into a delay, because as Hebrews 13:8 says, God is constant. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Take hope in that. Take faith in that God does not change, that he has all things determined and planned and a part for all of us to play, as long as we're obedient to him and yielded to him and what he desires. Everything's going to be all right. Till next week, I hope you have a great rest of your week. Stay safe during these storms. I love you. God bless you.